Hey guys, so this is the intro to a vlog that I don't know if it will ever make it onto my channel. That really depends on the success of the mission, which is a big one. I'm at the beginning of something quite big for me personally, which is digitizing my patterns and making them available for download for you guys. I feel like that has been something that I've been working towards for the last like year and a half or so. The amount of times that I get comments and messages about my patterns and whether I could make them somehow available for download or for purchase on the internet is insane. So I feel like it's a big opportunity for me to get into this and try and make this happen for me and for you. I hesitated doing this for a long time because I think in the beginning, I wasn't even sure if this was something that I wanted to do, if this was something that I saw as part of my journey as a YouTuber. I wasn't like super keen on starting with it because there's a lot of expertise that goes into pattern making and digitizing them and grading them and making them available for download, testing all of the concept of them, you know. I mean, there's a lot that goes into pattern making that I have so much respect for. So basically I kind of spent the last year researching how this actually works, because it's one thing making patterns for yourself and then making patterns for other people in a size or in sizes that are universally wearable, you know. I feel like that always was something that kind of caused anxiety for me. And it still does. But I'm kind of, I don't know, I feel like 2023 is a year for me to try this and give it a go. There's so many steps to this. I am at the very, very beginning of this journey, and I thought I'm gonna take you along. Again, I don't know if this is ever gonna make it to my channel, but maybe it's entertaining and maybe you'll see it. So here we are. Let's get onto this ride together. Today, I am at a point where I actually kind of know how to go about this, which is a huge success for me. I finally know how to get this done and to get it done in a way that is actually feasible for me alongside everything else that I'm already doing. As most of you know, I also have a day job, which is actually currently changing. So I'm starting a new job in a bit. So I have a couple weeks to focus fully on YouTube, which I'm very excited about. And this is the moment in time where I want to make this happen. As I said, I kind of know how to go about this. I have the programs and tools that I need to make it happen, and now I'm at a point where I have to decide which pattern is it, which is the first pattern that I'm going to digitize and test and send to friends to test and iterate again and then make it available for download for you guys. And first I thought I was going to do something completely new, something that you've never seen before, that obviously kind of still like is very much in style of what I usually do, but is new. And I kind of like, I don't know, it kind of like made me procrastinate because it felt like too big of a task to create something completely new that you would still like. And then I took a step back and thought maybe it's better to start with a pattern that I know resonated with you and I know you really liked. And the one that I landed on is actually a Reformation style dress that I made quite early on in the beginning of my YouTube journey, which is this one. Some of you might recognize it. The special thing about this dress is that it kind of speaks my design language, which is generally known as the Reformation style language. I love midi dresses, I love puff sleeves, I love a snatched waist, you know, all of those things. However, this is not a dupe, this is not a remake or like a copy of a Reformation dress that I've seen anywhere. It's just something that speaks that design language, which I would also describe as my design language. I don't want to go ahead and like just pattern, you know, Reformation or designer dresses that people know and then sell it as my own, because I don't know, I just feel like that's not what I'm here for. However, I'm not saying that I'm never going to do something that looks a little bit like this brand or that brand, because the thing about the fashion world is everything has been done before. You know, these kinds of dresses that you see at Reformation have been made by free people prior and have been made by, I don't know, other big brands many a time. So those Reformation designs aren't original either, if you know what I'm trying to say. Same with, for example, the Vampire's Wife, which happens to be a big inspiration for me, especially recently. You know, these puff sleeve dresses with the simple bodice and the short or midi skirt. That's a dress you can find technically anywhere. It's really about how you finish it, what fabric you use, etc. So it's a big world out there, and I will try to be as original as I can. Today is February 8th, and today is the first day where I'm actually going to do something specifically for digitizing this pattern. And like I mentioned, there are many steps to making this pattern happen. And the first one in my mind is to draw a basic bodice block in the like universally acknowledged size medium, or like 38 European. That is going to be my anchoring point for making the smaller and bigger sizes afterwards. I would say I myself, I'm approximately a medium size, so that would be my size. So I'm going to start from there so I can try and make mock-ups and test and put on the the dress myself so I can be my first guinea pig. So that's the first thing I'm going to do today. I'm quite excited about this. Truly, I think this is going to be great. So let's go. Okay, so the first step to making this bodice block that I was speaking of is actually to create a sizing chart, which is not that straightforward. I feel like sizes are very much like varying, like there isn't one true chart that displays all of the measurements in the same way. What I'm trying to do is to create this chart that eventually will come with the pattern, so you at home can check your measurements and see which size is the best for you. But then also I'm making a more extensive chart with all of the measurements that I need to create a bodice block, which for example includes things like shoulder width, back width, torso height, all of that kind of stuff. So that goes into that as well. I'm starting out with the simple one, which is literally just bust, waist, hip, and then I'm working my way forward to the more extensive one. Alright, so last couple of hours I spent on creating sizing charts. The one on top is for me. Those are all the measurements one needs to create a bodice block, and the ones down here are more like aspirational. This is what I would upload to my Etsy shop for people to see the sizes, which sizes my parents come in basically. And then here I printed my dress design, so I have that in front of me at all times. So that was a bit of like legwork, groundwork, I would say. Yesterday I tested basically the process of digitizing the pattern a little bit, so you can see this is the hand-drawn version of the pattern and this is the digitized version of the pattern. It's not 100% there yet. The digitized version came out much smaller than the original version, but that's because I didn't actually like proof check the measurements, if that makes sense, which you have to do. I just basically traced this from a photo just to get a hang of the vector tool on Illustrator and all that stuff, and I tried the PDF exporting and printing and all that. So I kind of just proved the concept. So here are a few pattern pieces digitized, again not same size, so this is something I have to work on. But like I said, this version of the pattern, this hand-drawn version of the pattern, is really to my size, to my very, very specific measurements. The next thing I have to do is to actually draft a bodice block in a size medium according to those measurements. So that's the first thing I need to do. And I'm gonna start now. Don't know if I'm gonna finish it today, but I'll get started. And I'm gonna use my own bodice block tutorial. I'm gonna follow my own tutorial to create this bodice block, because you know I don't have all of these things in my head at all times. I don't know if you do, but I don't think I can't like create a bodice block from scratch without any reference. So I'm glad I made that tutorial back then when I did. So I'm gonna follow that now and create this medium-sized bodice block. Step one of assembling the bodice block is to sew in the darts. Okay, so once all the darts are sewn in, we can place front and back right sides touching and start to sew the pieces together at the shoulder, continuing with the side seam. Alright, so this is the first try of the bodice block as I flat patterned it. This is what it looks like. Not too bad, I would say, but point of contention is the armhole. And I'm now going to adjust the armhole and then reflect that in my paper pattern. The way I do this is simply by trying to find my true shoulder, and with a marker I'm just going around my armhole and I'm trying to understand where I would like it to be so it's more comfortable. This is what my marking looks like at the moment, And then in the back, we would have to do the same thing. If you have someone in your house who can pin that shut, hot tip. I will try to see what I can do myself. Okay, ish. And then again, taking a marker. Ugh. And I'm gonna cut it back and try it again. Okay, here we go. Now the armhole is cut back and it's a perfect fit. What do you think? Okay, so it's the next day. I spent a sizable amount of time yesterday and today to create A, sizing chart, and then B, draft a bodice block in a medium size, actually 2 times in a row, because I basically had to test the sizing chart and see if it makes sense. And I'm now at a stage where I have actually sewn it together, meaning I toiled the bodice block. Now I can transfer the changes I made to the toile onto paper, and then I have a medium size bodice block that is going to be the starting point for all of the other patterns. I also want to create some basic bodice blocks with the darts in different places, so I'm going to modify the darts to create like different style medium bodice blocks, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do that now. It is today the 11th of February and I've made some really good progress on this. So as you might have seen, I worked on creating a couple of different kinds of bodice blocks to the size medium that I determined would be my medium size. I digitized them and they came out really good. After printing the pattern, kind of glued the pieces together the wrong way, I found out that they fit perfectly. Let me show you what I mean. So basically what we have here is the hand drafted pattern and the digitized version. And you can see that I ripped the pieces apart because what I did is I tried to line up the ends of the lines together, but then I realized that's wrong. I have to put the edges of the pieces of the paper together to actually have what I'm looking for, which is this exact piece. Same for the back. This is a huge achievement for me because this kind of proves the concept of how I digitized the pattern and how when you print it, it is the exact same thing as the hand-drawn version. Now I can move on to reworking the pattern of the actual design that I want to make my first Etsy shop entry, and that's what I'm going to do now. I have the afternoon to myself. It's currently 2 o'clock, so I'm going to start working on this pattern using this version of the bodice block, which doesn't have a shoulder dart and has a very wide flaring waist dart. And this is what I'm going to use to work on the pattern. So let's go. Okay, so what we have here is the adapted front pattern for this dress. So we have the front, and the back is pretty much the basic bodice block. I don't need to do a lot of adjustments here. So what I will do is I will use this printed version because why not waste less paper. And now what I need to do is I need to check that if I add a seam, it's the right height here. This needs to be shorter. Okay, now it's time for dart manipulation. First, I'm going to fold away the dart in the lower back piece. And then I'll try to fold away this dart down here by making the shoulder dart wider. Okay, so the pattern is completed. My idea is that I'm going to make a wearable toile now out of some black heavyweight fabric with a short skirt rather than the midi skirt that I would do if I had some flowy fabric. My idea is to make a wearable toile with the shorter version to test if there could be an A-B version of the dress. So with that single pattern you could make a dress with a short skirt, a short A-line skirt, or you could make the midi version with a more flowy fabric as like the B view, or the other way around or whatever. I see a lot of pattern makers do this. Of course, that would then, you know, up the value of the pattern for anybody who buys it, because you could make two dresses out of it. There are lots of pattern hackers out there, so meaning people who buy a pattern and then adjust it to make something that looks completely different than what the pattern maker intended, which I love, because that's the way to, you know, be creative and do your thing. So I want to offer as much as I can myself with this. So the first version is going to be this black mini version. It's quite late in the afternoon now. I'm going to quickly cut out all of my pieces and then I'm going to call it a day today. My boyfriend is sick, unfortunately, so I need to tend a little bit to him. Now it's my turn. I was sick last week. He tended to me and now he's sick, so I have to tend to him. But then I'll sew the wearable toile together tomorrow. So that's the plan. This fits really well. I'm really stoked about this. This is a medium size and I sewed it exactly as the pattern is. I made no alterations to this whatsoever. If I would do that, I would take it in definitely on the sides, because I have a very narrow upper body for a size medium, but the rest is really good. And I'm really thinking that this could be a great starting point for anybody sewing a dress. You could take it in, you could let it out. It's really up to you and your specific body type, which is exactly what I'm trying to do here. So I'm super stoked about this. And now I'm going to continue on with the sleeves and joining skirt and top. Actually, I could try a skirt as well. So this is the skirt. I'm going to try it in a second. I'm going to join the top and the skirt first, and then I'm going to try the skirt. Here it is. What do you think? Still missing the zip in the center back, but other than that, it's completely finished. There's spacing on the neckline, sleeves are done, everything on the inside is serged. I don't think I could be happier with this. This turned out absolutely brilliant for a wearable toile. There are two changes I want to make. The first one being I need to take in the two bodice front pieces in the side here where the underbust seam hits, just a smidge by about 0.5 centimeter on each side. The other thing that I'm thinking about is lengthening the sleeves a little bit. I think, and that's actually what my original design looked like, I want to make sure that the end of the ruffle hits on my arm on the same height as the under bust seam. I think that would look more, I don't know, cohesive. It would make it all the interest points on the same height, and it would make it more like my original design. That's what I'm thinking. Not 100% sure yet, but that's the plan. I'm happy I made a wearable toile. I think this is such a great little black dress. I can wear this practically anywhere. This is amazing. Also super happy with the skirt, with the length of it, with the shape of it. It's really cute with this little flare, this A-line flare. So yes, great, love it. So my room is a complete mess. I went into hyperdrive. Don't quite know what got into me. So that means I need to go out and find the right fabric. So I want to make over my sewing space because I feel like I am still super invested in my whole YouTube journey. And now that I'm getting into actually releasing my own patterns, I feel like the commitment is real.